Welcome to Two Doctors Homestead. My name's Daniel.
And I'm Janet.
And this is Prepper Pantry Pick of the Week. You can see we've got quite a few items here on the table, if it doesn't get cropped too much, of our picks of the week.
Multi-pick.
Multi-pick of the week, right? We're picking lots of stuff today. Today we're talking about fats, saturated fats, unsaturated fats, oils, whether it's cooking oil or maybe, just something you're going to put on a sandwich, right? We want to jump into oil. I didn't want to do a different video for each of these, and there's a few that aren't on here, vegetable oils and whatnot. I tried to get a range, and I'll kind of explain why we picked these and why they're in this order on the table. Some you're going to look at and say, those are horrible for you, that's poison, that's trash, that's garbage.
Yeah, everybody has their own opinion on that.
Right, and some of these are mystical, right, have just incredible healing powers, and they're super healthy for you. So we're going to jump through it. It's kind of interesting looking at it. They're all fat, whether it's saturated fat, cholesterol, total fat, they're all fat, right? They all can, and to some extent, in some cases, be used interchangeably, right? If you're cooking, lard versus butter, maybe, versus coconut oil, right? I feel like to some extent.
To some, yeah.
To some extent, they're relatively interchangeable.
They have some have higher smoking points than others.
Right, different smoking points. Yeah, if you're going to put them on the grill, I mean, there's differences between them. I'm not jumping in saying there's not. In fact, I want to talk about some of the differences and some ideas that you might think about for, once again, your prepper pantry, right? Your long-term food storage. That's what we've been trying to focus on here, which is cost-efficient options for long-term food storage. That's what we're doing. We're showing you the products and telling you how they fit in your pantry. And certainly all of these may have a place in your pantry. Once again, there may be some of these you're looking at right away and you're like, I would never eat that. That's horrible. That's poison. And I get it, right? So we're going to start out, actually I have these out of order here. I believe we're going to start with the unsalted butter, right here. This is a Go Texas brand, unsalted butter, Texas tradition since 1909. So good local Texas butter. This was $4.96 for 1 pound, 16 ounces, which is 32 cents per ounce, which puts it about in the middle of where we're at. It's not the most expensive, it's not the least expensive, maybe second most expensive, right?
Yeah, the price has gone up a lot.
I know, prices keep going up, right? So this is 32 servings per container, 100 calories per serving, 11 grams of fat per serving, 30 milligrams of cholesterol per serving. And as we go through each of these, you're going to see that the calories per serving, grams of fat per serving are pretty consistent. Some have cholesterol, some do not. So we'll jump into that. Once again, we're trying to hit them all at once just to kind of get your mind thinking about it, right? So the unsalted butter, shelf life, of course, is going to be a big differentiator, and actually my left to right here really has to do with shelf life, which one has the longest shelf life. So the least shelf life out of all of these is the unsalted butter. Now, in terms of where I'm getting information for the shelf life, I'm going to say I'm getting a little bit of it from everywhere, right? You can look at what's on the container, and you can look at what's on the internet, right? And I'm pulling a mix of both, and I'll kind of dig into that. So unsalted butter, you look on the internet, you look at what's out there. They say 1 to 3 months in the fridge for butter, 1 year in the freezer for butter, a month less for unsalted. So what I'm reading is if it's salted, it lasts a month longer than the unsalted.
Okay, that
Seems
makes sense.
reasonable, right?
Yeah.
Salted butter can be left out on the counter. Unsalted should go in the fridge. So this should never really be left out on the counter because it's unsalted butter. It doesn't have any of the preservatives. And with all of these, any of the shelf lives we talk about, any oil, any fat can go rancid, right? There seems to be some conflicting information about the health issues of eating rancid oils, butters, any of this. Everyone seems to agree it's not good for you, right?
Yeah.
It's a question of how bad,
Yeah.
Right. Short term, is it okay? Long
If you
term,
could
does
keep
it
it
cause
down.
cancer? You know, I saw a study where they actually had students eat rancid peanuts and regular peanuts, and some people couldn't really tell the difference between the rancid and the non-rancid. So
Okay.
it's one of those things. If it tastes okay, smells okay, looks okay, it's probably okay, and that tends to go for all. But I think anyone would agree, eating rancid stuff's probably not good for you.
Yeah, I'm not gonna eat it.
Right, not going to eat it. So this seems to have about the least shelf life, right? We're talking 1 to 3 months in the fridge, maybe 1 year in the freezer, one less if it's unsalted. It's not a high shelf life. I think on the container, yeah, it's February 23. It's the older one, right?
Yeah, well, that was in the freezer.
Yeah, this was in the
Yeah.
freezer. So this is, yeah, we did not just buy this today. That's why I didn't have it on there. Now the ingredients on this is cream and natural flavors, right? So it's just cream. It's a pretty simple ingredient. So a lot of these have very simple ingredients. This ingredient is just cream and whatever the natural flavors are that make up butter, right? So it contains milk, obviously, because it is milk. It's cream, very simple product. So the next one I want to jump into is lard. So this is your lard. Once again, lard is rendered pork fat. When we butcher a pig, we make our own lard.
Yeah, it's usually the leaf lard, that strip that's inside the, in between the rib cage and your organs. That's what that is. That's the white, pure stuff that you can bake with.
Right, yeah,
So
we
that's
make
what
our
they're
own
pulling
lard.
out. Yeah,
I think lard is great. Definitely a fan. I know it gets a bad
I
reputation.
know, that's my number one fave.
Right,
Yeah.
that's their number
I
one
think out of all
favorite.
of this, lard is my favorite.
Is the
Yeah.
favorite, yeah. Gets a bad reputation, I think. Historically, the health people say this is the worst, one of the worst possible
Right,
things
but we
for
didn't
you.
start having
We
heart
haven't gotten
attacks
to
in
there.
30s until here.
Right, until the
So-
Crisco shortened. So a lot of people hate on the lard. Once again, it's rendered pork fat.
Yeah.
This says it has BHT and BHA added to help protect flavor. Couldn't really find any other ingredients on here other than we know lard's rendered pork fat.
Yes,
Right.
lard is pork fat,
Yeah.
tallow is beef fat.
Yeah. So this is $2.32 for 16 ounces, which is 14 cents per ounce. And I believe that, yeah, that's the least expensive one out of all of these is the lard. So
Yeah,
least
you can get
expensive.
tubs of that, like a 5-pound tub of that for even cheaper.
Yeah. So 35 calories per serving, 35 servings per container, 120 calories per serving, 13 grams of fat per serving. Once again, these are pretty consistent. The butter was 100 calories per serving, 11 grams of fat. This is 120 calories per serving, 13 grams of fat. So they're all pretty close. This is 5 milligrams of cholesterol. The regular butter's 30 milligrams of cholesterol, right? So this has less cholesterol than the butter. So again, this is rendered pork fat and this is milk cream. So it's just kind of interesting. It's kind of interesting that you end up with a very similar product in a very different way. So shelf life wise, lard, they say 9 months. Online, you look at it, it says 9 months. On the box, it says 6 months.
So disappointing, because that's
Yeah.
that's my favorite. That's my
It's a
go-to.
favorite, right. 1 year in the fridge, 2 years frozen. So that's pulling bits and pieces of information from different
I
places.
store mine in the freezer.
Yeah, we store it in the freezer. Can't promise any of those, but in terms of shelf life, you're saying somewhere between 6 months and 2 years. 2 years if you keep it frozen, 6 months just in the box sitting on the shelf. Right, so I did put it longer than the butter because the butter was 1 to 3 months in the fridge, maybe a year in the freezer. This is 6 months maybe in the box, a year in the fridge, 2 years frozen. Right, so you do have a longer shelf life on lard. We love the lard. Next one is ghee, which the ghee is one of those kind of mystical powers one. I mean, you look at the container, it
Yeah.
certainly looks fancy. It's Fourth and Heart.
Looks very holistic.
Fuel happy, yeah, holistic is a good word. Original recipe, grass-fed ghee. The ingredients clarified butter, which is milk. So it does look like a nice container. So this was $11.49. The most expensive out of all of them, which is
Yes.
$1.27 per ounce. 20 servings per container, 120 calories per serving, 13 grams of fat per serving, 40 milligrams of cholesterol per serving, which health-wise puts it about the same as the unsalted butter and the lard. In fact, it's actually a little bit more. It's more cholesterol per serving than these. So the best buy date, right, this is where it gets some of the mystical powers here. On the container, it says 16 months, right? So when I look at when it says expires on the container, it says 16 months.
Unopened?
Unopened.
Okay.
Right, unopened as it is, 16 months. I see online, they say it's good for a year. Right, well, this one's good for 16 months. So clearly not the same thing. I see some people online saying years. No, ghee will last for years.
I see people on YouTube like canning that stuff, saying that it's just going to last for years upon years.
Last years upon years upon years, yeah. So in India,
it too.
Right, in India, there's a thing called 100-year-old ghee. I don't think people eat it. Right, they actually
people
use
eat
it
the
in
100-year-old eggs,
right. They use
which
it
really
in
aren't
religious
100
rituals.
years old. But
Right, yeah. They use it in religious rituals. The ingredients are clarified butter, which is effectively the same ingredients, obviously as the butter, clarified butter.
So it's more like an
It's made of
anointing
milk.
type thing, the 100-year-old ghee.
Right.
Okay.
Shelf stable, yes. Can be refrigerated. Once again, it's got that mystical, maybe it'll last forever kind of thing. I'm not saying it will. And if you look up health benefits of ghee, there's a long list. It's that ghee's got a lot of fans, helps digestive system, strengthens immune system, source of essential vitamins, anti-inflammatory, anti-cancer, lactose, helps people that are lactose intolerant.
Because the milk solids
treats
are removed,
burns.
right? Isn't that ghee? Is the milk
Right.
solids are removed?
The milk solids removed and healthy skin. I can't say any of those are real, but once again, you get the ghee. People that love the ghee love the ghee.
Yeah.
Right. Cost-wise, once again,
Which is cool because I
most
love the
expensive.
lard. So
Right. So we love the
there's a lot
lard.
of
We
it leaves more
raise and
lard
butcher
on
our
that.
own pigs. People love the ghee. I have nothing against butter.
I like
Ghee is
butter,
processed
too.
butter. So not putting it down. Right. I can't confirm or deny any of the health
I don't know if I've
benefits.
ever bought ghee though until today.
Right, we bought the ghee. We got the ghee today. All right, next one we have up here is coconut oil. This was $4.94 for 14 ounces, which is 35 cents per ounce, which is less than the ghee at $1.27 per ounce, more expensive than the lard at 14 cents an ounce, and actually more expensive than butter at 32. But it's pretty close to the unsalted butter price-wise. Close to it. 28 servings per container, 120 calories per serving, which is within about 10 calories per serving. Same range as everything else. 15 grams of fat per serving, 0 cholesterol. I think this is the first one, I'm pretty sure, that has 0 cholesterol.
Because that's a plant.
Right, yeah, this is a plant. So ingredients are coconut oil. So once again, we have coconut oil, we have milk, and we have fat from inside of a pig.
Right.
Right,
Yeah.
it's very different ingredients.
Yes.
So now I've got this in 4th place, or you could say 2nd place from the best. If we were going reversed, 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd.
Most longevity.
Most longevity. So this is 1 to 2 years is what people say on the internet, right? If you look at on the container, this container says 2 years. I've seen 24 months for refined on the internet. This is non-hydrogenated. So I don't think this is refined, but
It would
according to
say
the
on it.
container, right, I don't think it's refined. It has no preservatives listed, just says coconut oil. This says on it that it's good for 2 years, which when you're reading it on the internet, it sort of shouldn't be. But that's what the container says, right? You can't trust everything on the internet. You can read a half
I
dozen
hope you
different
can trust the
articles.
container.
Right, yeah, I'm going with the container on this one. It says 2 years. Seen people say 3 years if stored properly. Once again, the ingredients is coconut oil. It's a very simple ingredient. And as similar to the ghee, it sort of has mystical powers.
Oh yeah, because that came out.
Right.
That was all the rage. It was a
was all the
big
rage.
trend on coconut oil.
Right.
People were swishing it in their mouths. And,
Yeah, it was everything.
yeah.
Everything is
In the
coconut oil.
keto community, it's very big.
Yeah, keto people
But
love
so
it.
is butter and lard. So.
Right, butter and lard. Possible health benefits include increasing good cholesterol, controlling blood sugar, reducing stress, and more. Like I saw an article that was 20 health benefits of coconut oil. I didn't dig into it. Take it for what you want. right?
Oh, yeah.
You know, in terms of prepper pantry, once again, this is number 2. I'm going on shelf life.
Good shelf life.
And rough cost, right? 35 cents an ounce is pretty close to regular butter, more expensive than snow cap, lard, much less expensive than ghee. So last one here, love it or hate it. Don't have a lot of good things to say about good old Crisco. You know,
That's the
and
fence
it's not,
I'm in.
right.
I don't know, what did that come out in the 80s?
Right.
70s maybe?
So it is Crisco, $4.30 for 16 ounce. That's 26 cents per ounce. It's the second best price after the Snowcap lard, I believe. Losing track here. 38 servings per container, 110 calories per serving, 12 grams of fat per serving, which puts it pretty much the same as all of them in terms of fat per serving, calories per serving. Now, the interesting thing on the Crisco, I mean, I'm not going to go too far into the ingredients. It's got soybean oil, fully hydrogenated palm oil, and then a bunch of other stuff. So it's heavy on the ingredients. I would say very manufactured compared to, say, this is coconut oil is the only ingredient. This clarified butter is the only ingredient. Pork fat's pretty much your ingredient. Milk's your ingredient.
Did you look up when that came out? I feel like it's early 90s.
Oh, when did they invent the shortening? I did not. So something interesting, and I've looked at this for a little while now before I started the filming this, I can't find an expiration date on the container.
Yeah, no.
Which is
It's
interesting.
a Twinkie.
Right, I cannot find an expiration date on the container. Which is interesting. I mean, you said I'm looking right now. I've looked up, down, left, right, took the lid off, looked down the bottom. I didn't put it under a microscope, but
that is what, and I feel like after the around Great Depression time.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it, is more when that came out.
Yeah.
Because that is what has gone into all our processed foods now.
I'm sure it has.
So
yeah.
in order to make
Yeah.
your processed foods, your shelf-stable
Right.
stuff, all that stuff that you can and put in boxes and stuff, is
something like
is
that.
stuff like that,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
was probably one of those things that came out of needing it stable for.
Needing that long-term shelf stable, and it's
Right,
the
for the
fat, right? It
soldiers
all
and
has
the
a saturated fat and the polyunsaturated fat and the monosaturated fat. It's got all the good stuff in there.
And it doesn't matter what kind of camp you're in. If you're like I'm keto and I have to be keto because
Right.
of my diabetes,
Right.
but that stuff is that's a big no-no in the keto community.
No on the keto.
Because it's just very inflammatory. All of those
Right.
oils are horrible for our immune systems.
No, absolutely.
But that's just
Online,
my personal opinion.
yeah, no, online I see 5 years, online I see 2 years. I was kind of fascinated that I don't see an expiration date on it,
No,
which was
because
interesting.
nuclear war happened, and
You know?
that's still going to be around with the
Yeah,
cockroaches.
so, we're talking prepper pantry, we're talking about what to put up for long-term food storage. It's hard to put that down if it is even 2 years or 5 years. It's gonna be good for a long time, and it says excellent source of omega-3 fatty acids, which we all like our omega-3 fatty acids.
Well, that's the thing. There's
Right.
there's a difference between long-term food storage to survive SHTF.
Yeah.
And
What we want to eat every day.
I need to keep my carbohydrates down to keep my blood sugar in
Right,
check.
absolutely,
It's
yeah,
a completely different mindset.
It is,
What
of
you're
course.
preparing for and what you can actually live every
On a
day.
on a regular
Now,
day.
I mean,
Absolutely.
I don't know if you have this on your little tablet,
No,
but
that's my whole tablet.
to
That was
me, that's like
it. It's poison.
that's poison.
That's poison.
But if SHTF happens, I would rather go without oils
Than have
and make
that.
a candle out of that.
Right, and that's the other thing, right? You could make a candle out of
Like,
this.
don't throw any of this stuff away, because
Right.
these things can
Right.
easily be, with a wick in them, turned
Right.
into candles.
And we have wicks. We got a spool
Yes.
candle wick. Of course
Yes,
we do.
anything, even if they're rancid, they're still
Right.
going to burn like a candle
Still burn like a candle.
would. So you
Right.
don't want to throw these expired things away,
Yeah, if
really.
they expired, yeah, they're candles. They have other
Put them on the
use.
side to make a candle out of.
Right, yeah. So this one is interesting simply because I've seen 5
Oh,
years.
my grandmother.
I've seen 2 years.
My Nana Marie loved that stuff.
Yeah, it was the best
And she
stuff
loved
ever.
her butter, yes,
Yeah.
but that stuff too.
I mean, you look on the container, it says 50% less saturated fat than butter.
Well, it
0
was
grams of
marketed
trans
quite
fat.
well when it came out.
Zero
because-
cholesterol. This is one of the only ones with zero cholesterol. This and the coconut oil.
Because it's soy, palm, it's all
Right,
just a
yeah,
whole
yeah.
bunch of,
Right. Not saying it's good
vegetable
for you.
oils.
No, not
I
putting
think
the
most
company
people
down.
on the
It
interwebs
has a
know that
place.
vegetable oils are not good for you.
Right, it has a place. It has a place in the pantry. It has a place in the world. You know, when you're looking at shelf life
It
of a
had a
lot of
place
products.
on my mom's shelf because
Right.
she loved her some Crisco.
Love the Crisco.
Everything was
right?
Crisco.
Yeah.
She also loved I Can't Believe It's Not Butter when it came out.
Right, and probably margin. So
But
once
there's
again,
people out there that think that, and that
They
is
think the
horrible.
lard is
That's-
horrible. They
that's
think the regular
devil as
butter is
well.
horrible.
So everybody's got their own.
Everyone's
camp.
got their own thing. People are going to say ghee is the best thing ever. People are going to say coconut oil is the best thing ever.
Ghee might save your life
Ghee
sometimes.
might, right? Is what we try to organize here, show both ends of the spectrum, show a few things in the middle. If you're not familiar with it, if you haven't spent a lot of time thinking about your oils, your butters, that kind of thing, you probably already have a product that you use. Most people, I
Yeah,
assume,
most people do, yeah.
You've got the one you have your go-to probably at this point. But we're just trying to open up some options, get you thinking about what's out there, what you might be interested in, and maybe this makes you want to explore out a little bit, try something new that you haven't tried before.
Right. Get your candles.
Right, you could use stuff as candles.
I mean,
you know?
they actually put it in a little thing that's perfect for you.
Yeah.
Stick a chopstick down in it, put your wick in,
Put
and
your
there you
wick in,
go.
and it's good to go, right?
It's good to go. It's
Right, yeah.
candle already.
Yeah, some of these you're probably going to want to spread on toast, like take out and just spread on toast and enjoy.
Yes, because butter
Other of
has a
these
low
you're not going to
smoking
want
point,
to.
so you're not cooking with.
Right, you're not
I'm making
cooking.
biscuits out of this one.
Right, they have their uses.
Yes, they absolutely do.
Yeah.
Honestly, like I put coconut oil on my tattoos when they heal.
Right, right. Some of it's medicinal. I mean,
know.
ghee is the most expensive. I think the lard was the least expensive. You've got the longest shelf life. So it's we try to give an interesting mix, if it's not something you thought about.
Yep.
All right, well, thank you for watching, and we appreciate you.